Welcome to the Hurdle Podcast. Technically, our first real episode. So
Yeah, first real one. First real one.
work some kinks out. We're trying some new stuff. We're on a new recording thing, so
Yeah.
don't flame us in the comments per se. However, one note to make: we had to do a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. the Spotify,
Yeah.
because the recording that we're using now does not give us an audio file.
Can't upload no audio files for Spotify.
So Spotify is gone.
So we're strictly a YouTube channel now.
I guess we're a YouTube thing. Remember when we weren't? It was
Mm-hmm.
just
It was
Spotify
just
audio.
Spotify, yeah.
And then we're like, oh, maybe we should. Now we're only a video
Mm-hmm.
podcast, I
We
guess.
couldn't figure out the video, now we can only figure out the video.
This is true. We are college students, truly. So this episode is going to be NBA playoffs. We're kind of just going to go through each conference, each matchup, and then at the very end, we will go over our whole big picture of pretty much our predictions for how the playoffs and our finals matchups are going to go. Doesn't mean we'll agree, but we will have a visual aid.
Yes, we love visual aids. We are going to be really small in the top center of your screen. Also another technical thing, but that's only going to be for short term. The mock draft, it might be a small problem when we have the entire mock draft up. But we're working through all the kinks, so we're kind of going raw right now.
We're raw dogging it. That'll get us demonetized. Let's go. But yeah, so let's jump into it. We're gonna start out east. First question, Bailey.
Yep.
Is it a guarantee that the Bucks or the Celtics are representing the East in
If they
the
play
NBA
each other.
Finals?
I think so.
You
Like,
think it's one of those two?
I think it has to be because when you look at like the bottom half, I think Philadelphia is really the only other team that I could see. Because like when we look at Boston and Atlanta, in my opinion, Boston's going to sweep Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I would like to say 4 of these games have already been played. Boston and Atlanta played already game 1, and Boston won. Sacramento played the Warriors
Great
in one of
game.
the best games I've watched in the NBA in probably the last 10 years.
Great game.
Sacramento won that game, so they're up 1.
Knicks upset Cleveland.
Knicks beat Cleveland in Cleveland to take game 1.
And then the Sixers beat Brooklyn.
The Sixers beat Brooklyn as the first game of the day. And we'll get into Harden and Embiid and all those guys. And they won by 20 at home to take game 1. So I do want to state that really quick.
Yeah, so we have seen half the games.
We have seen 4 game 1s, which is something to go off of.
Mhm.
But talking about just Milwaukee and Boston here, I think it's almost destiny that they play each other at this point.
I think
Eastern Conference
it
Finals.
has to be. Don't you? Like, because even if you look down the matchups and whatever, let's say the higher seeds do all win.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Cleveland, Milwaukee, and as much as I love the Cavs, I think they could be a deep run. They're not beating the Bucks. They have no one to guard Giannis. No one in the league has anyone to guard Giannis.
Yeah. Except for maybe the Clippers if you want to talk like 2019 Toronto. Kawhi.
Exactly. And then you look Boston, Philly. I think Boston just matches up better with Philly.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it, it's going to come down to, I think, Bucks hosting the Celtics.
Yep.
It probably goes 6 or 7.
Yep, I agree.
But I just don't see a way that either Philadelphia or Cleveland
Makes a run at it.
makes a run. I mean,
Like,
it's just tough. An injury would have to happen in my eyes. Like,
mm-hmm.
I don't want to jinx it, but like a Jaylen Brown or a Tatum injury,
or
or
Drew Holiday, Giannis, Chris Middleton injury. Like,
exactly. So that's.
but even if like Chris Middleton or Holiday gets injured, Giannis can still drag those guys
It's a whole like
to the
Jokic
Eastern Conference.
situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we'll get into but like Jokic could take a team really far just because of who he is, and it's the same deal with Giannis.
Yeah.
So I guess let's get first matchup in the East. We'll go 1-8 matchup. Bucks Heat. Is there really?
There's no chance.
It's the Giannis effect, right?
Yeah.
Like who's gonna guard Giannis on Miami? Like
Bam. I think Miami does have one of the better matchups with Bam. But when you look at Miami over the course of the season, Jimmy Butler's had to hit all these clutch shots against teams like Orlando and like Detroit. I think he had a buzzer beater to
pretty much has to carry that team.
They barely made it through the play, and like they crushed Atlanta. That wasn't really a great game.
They lost to Atlanta.
Or they lost. Yeah, they lost to Atlanta. What am I talking about?
And then beat the Bulls.
Yeah, but then that's where I was going. Sorry, beat the Bulls, and I just they're just too streaky. Like I don't really get a good feel of Miami. Like they were the 1 seed last year. Last year you knew what they were coming in, what they were going to be doing coming into the playoffs. You knew Bam was playing great defense and he was actually scoring the ball. This year doesn't seem like he's aggressive on the offensive end. And when we get to guys like Hero and Duncan Robinson and Max Strus and all these supporting guards that they have, it just doesn't feel like. I mean, Strus had a massive game against Chicago. I think he had 7 threes and had 31 points. But
But you're not going to get that nightly.
exactly,
Like,
that's not on a night-to-night basis. And Jimmy, when we looked at that bubble run in 2020, he played every minute of every game
because he had to.
because he had to. And it's like I just don't see Miami being good enough offensively to keep up with the scoring of Holiday and Middleton and Giannis and even Brooke Lopez, who really stretches the floor for them really well, and Bobby Portis, who's in the running for sixth man of the year. He can stretch the floor really well as a big. Like they're just a great crafted team around their star player, and their star player does MVP level things, especially during the playoffs. So I just don't see anything that Miami can do.
So then I guess my next question, who is the X factor in the series? Who is the guy that makes the difference here for, I guess, Milwaukee, we'll say.
For Milwaukee, I mean, Middleton hits all the big shots, and we're going to touch on Middleton in a minute. But I think Drew Holiday is the most underrated player on Milwaukee.
He plays such good defense.
He what people do on like he still averages 20 a game and is probably going to be easily all NBA defensive first team
Yeah, I would say so.
with ease. It's going to be a shoe-in basically at this point. So with what he does on both ends, maybe they'll throw him on Jimmy a little bit. I mean, Jimmy's definitely a much bigger guy, but we know Holiday can handle those kind of scores. But that Holiday Hero matchup, Hero's gonna have a really tough time getting good looks and open shots. Because if you let Hero get going, he'll heat up throughout the course of a game. But with Holiday on you, it kind of just hits a halt. So I kind of look at that Hero Holiday matchup a little bit, and I would probably go if we're just talking strictly Milwaukee, I would go Drew Holiday as the most important player on this team.
That's fair. I think I made the argument when we were planning out this podcast. For me, it's Middleton because he's coming in hurt. Hopefully, he's healthy. I mean, we're assuming so. I guess the one thing you got to look at is he'll have Jimmy Butler on him, which
Mhm.
is not an easy task. Jimmy Butler's a great defender, but where Chris Middleton has, let's say, made a living
Mhm.
is being clutch in the playoffs. He
Yeah.
always hits shots in the playoffs. He's streaky the whole regular season, but when it's playoff time, he makes his shots, especially if a guy like Drew Holiday is cold and is just being great defensively, or Brook Lopez isn't hitting his shots.
Mhm.
It's the Chris Middleton effect.
He's
And
the safety valve.
exactly, he's the guy I think that Giannis feels like he can go to in a catch and shoot situation, have to get a bucket. It's Chris Middleton. I think, like we stated earlier, this Bucks team's just built different. Like they may not be the deepest team in the league by any stretch of the
I would agree with
imagination,
that. Yep.
but their top 6 or 7 could be starters on any team.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
easily. So
Absolutely.
they're built really well. Again, like we mentioned, I don't see a way Miami gets out of here
No,
at all.
I'm probably going to take Milwaukee in 5.
Yeah, I mean We'll get to that.
Yep.
Boston, Atlanta.
Boston are up 1-0. Dominating fashion too.
The
Like
scoreboard might not show it at the end, but they were up 30 at the half, won by 13. I think the biggest takeaway from that is it's Trae Young and then who? Like
yeah.
they brought in DeJounte Murray. Didn't do much. They got Clint Capella.
hmm
They didn't do much. It can't be the Trae Young show.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what it's
That's
gonna
what
be. It has
Trae
to.
Young's gonna have to average like 40 and 8
They
for
shot
these guys to
17%
win 2
from three.
games. So yeah,
17% from three.
you're
They
not
made
beating
5
Boston.
threes. You're not beating Boston doing that. So then I guess if we're rolling Boston,
hmm
can Tatum be consistent?
Yeah.
That's the question with Boston every year.
hmm Yeah, and when we look at the finals run last year, especially, it was my worry as a Celtics fan. My worry I have a couple worries with this team. Another rookie head coach I don't love, and Joe Maz. And Udoka was incredibly successful last year as a rookie head coach, but when we come into it's like learning a whole new system over again. It's hard to go back-to-back finals runs on back-to-back rookie head coaches.
I don't think that's
One,
ever been done.
I can't think of one off the top of my head, to be honest with you. So that's one worry. Two is the health. Like just Robert Williams is always hurt, and he's your perennial like defensive big man. Like he's Rudy Gobert, but he's like 6'8" and a lot faster. He can rotate onto guards and guard the likes of Klay Thompson and switch off screens that
And
way.
you saw that in the finals.
Yeah, we saw that in the finals. They were switching everything because it's not entirely a mismatch for a guard to be on Robert Williams. So that's two is the health. But three was Tatum's inconsistencies with turning the ball over. His turnovers,
Machine.
especially in the finals, Steve Kerr, who's probably one of the most underrated coaches in the league now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous at this point. Um, he just drew up such a great game plan, doubling Tatum at half, just throwing him different looks constantly. And Tatum was turning the ball over like a madman. So Boston brings in Brogdon this year as a secondary ball handler, and I think that's going to be
Huge.
huge, especially in the series against Milwaukee, because now you have another guy that Milwaukee has to have another perimeter defender for. It can't just be Drew Holiday all the time. You can't guard five guys at once, as good as he is on defense. So I think Tatum can be more consistent this year. I still worry about the turnovers, and he's still a slightly streaky shooter because he takes 20 to 25 shots a game. That's just what you're going to get.
Especially have a guy like Tatum.
Yeah, and you have to. That's your star player. He's going to get his ISO possessions where he takes a guy like Klay Thompson off the dribble, right? He takes a guy like in this Atlanta series, he's going to take DeAndre Hunter off the dribble. He's going to take DeJounte Murray off the dribble. They're just not skillful enough on defense to be guarding the likes of Jason Tatum, which is why I think Atlanta just can't compete in this series.
It's a tough look because like when they beat Miami again, like the higher seed in the play-in, I don't know. It just either one of the matchups they got, rather it was Milwaukee or Boston, they were kind of screwed. I think from the jump.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because you can't hide Trae Young on defense either. As good as he is offensively,
he's not a good defender.
in the modern NBA, almost everyone can play offense. You have to be able to space the floor. And Trae Young is one of the worst defensive players that we have in today's game, as awesome as he is on the offensive end. I'm not taking anything away from him on that side of the ball, but it's just once you get him on defense, he's too small, he's too light, he can't guard the quicker, smaller point guards. But if he matches up on anyone bigger than him, they're just going to shoot over the top of him or take him down low. And it's hard to hide that in the modern NBA. And they tried with the DeJounte Murray trade, and I just don't see how it's going to work. It's been somewhat successful, but
I think the only thing that could save Atlanta is now that Quinn Snyder's their head coach. That's kind of it. And he's a great defensive coach.
and he's
But
only had 15, 20 games to get this system put in. So
I-
maybe
I
that'll
think-
come around.
yeah, give him a year,
hmm
maybe two, and just see
He
what
needs to
happens.
have time.
Because
He
you
needs to have
can't
time.
you can't expect to come in and with a guy that's a defensive minded head coach and be like, oh, we're turning it all around in 15 games. And then
Yeah.
by the way, you have to go try to beat Boston.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Not gonna happen. Let's go to we saw this game today.
Yeah.
We'll keep this one I think pretty quick. Sixers Brooklyn. Does Brooklyn even have a shot?
No,
I think coming in, I was like, maybe they could steal a game.
maybe two.
After today, there is no way this doesn't.
They get through this round. There's no way. How do you stop Embiid? How do you stop Embiid? 11 for 11 from the line today. No other big is shooting as either as many free throws as Embiid does, or the free throw,
Efficiently.
or as efficiently as he does. I mean, Nick Claxton's a great player. He led the league in field goal percentage this year, and he's a great defensive player. He probably you could make an argument that he could have been one of the three finalists this year. But it's like Embiid is one of the most talented offensive scorers we've had in a while from
He's-
the big man
Wouldn't you
position.
say he's probably the second best this year?
He's probably the best big man scorer
Yeah.
we've had since maybe Shaq. And
Because you can just kind of get it to him,
or
and he just
later
does
Tim
his thing.
Duncan. Yeah, it's like he averaged 33 a game this year. He led the NBA by
Defense.
a significant margin. So I just and then when you work Harden into that pick and roll, I mean Harden led the league in assists this year off that pick and roll.
It's a
So
new brand of Harden.
it is a new
It's
brand.
great.
I'm really enjoying watching it, actually. You started to see flashes of it last year. Harden was banged up going into that playoff run that they tried to have. And this year he came in a little banged up too. But
he's
he
healthy at the
looked
right time.
incredible today. 13 assists, 7 made threes. And when you work that off an Embiid pick and roll, pick and fade combo, that's hard to stop. I just worry about their supporting cast in the long run, but we're talking about Brooklyn right now, and Brooklyn's not going to stop these guys.
I mean, yeah, and that's maybe the biggest concern with Philly is their supporting cast. Melton and what's his
They
name?
still have
Maxey.
Tyrese Maxey and
Like-
Tobias Harris.
Yeah, like those guys they don't have to do much.
Yeah.
They just have to sit there and let Harden and Embiid do their thing and occasionally be there for a kick out.
Maxey still averaged 20 a game this year, too.
There's your big three
Mhm.
in Philly. And it may not be the flashiest big three, especially with Maxey, but I mean, it's Harden and Embiid. It's the
Yeah.
pick and roll.
It's
They're
hard.
bringing back the pick
Yep.
and roll. It's going to be maybe what Detroit does next year if
If
they get the lottery.
Hayden,
Yep.
Webb, and Young, if they win
Yep,
the lottery. Yep.
exactly. All right, the 4-5 matchup. This was the intriguing one coming in, and it lived up to the hype today. Definitely. Knicks get the first game over Cleveland in Cleveland. I guess the biggest thing is who's going to step up for Cleveland outside Donovan Mitchell?
I think the huge thing for me here is Evan Mobley.
Yes,
Evan Mobley has to be the guy here.
because he's going to be on Randall.
Has to be a guy. He'll match up with Randall. He'll match up with guys like Hartenstein and especially Mitchell Robinson when Jared Allen is not in the game, when they work that big man rotation as they do so well. They've done that all year. He just got to be more aggressive with the ball in his hands and score more. He struggled from the field today. I think it was like 4 for 13 or something like that.
Did not shoot well.
He's got to score more than what he scored today. Mitchell had 38 and 8 assists, I believe, 7 or 8 assists. He can't average 40 and have everyone else do what they did today.
Well, because that's the difference. When you looked at Mitchell when he was in Utah, like,
It's kind of the same deal.
but Rudy Gobert was still getting like 20 and 15.
Fair.
Like you're still getting production out of a second player, especially the big man because of matchup.
And there was a bunch of shooters around
Exactly. Cleveland is. I really thought Cleveland would win this series, but just after today, I go, you got to get someone to stop Brunson, and you got to get someone to stop Randall.
And Randall didn't even shoot well today. 3
No.
for 10 from 3, I believe. He struggled from the field today.
But Brunson had 27.
Brunson closed out that game.
So that means
Oh,
for me, the player that needs to step up is Darius Garland, not just defensively, but offensively. You're the second guard with Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell attracts a lot of attention. You have to capitalize on that
getting the
aspect.
second guard.
Exactly, being that second guard in that system. I mean, you see it with Golden State. Everyone's focused on Curry, and Clay's wide open,
Phoenix, everyone's on Durant.
and then
Booker's
Booker's
gonna
wide
cook.
open.
Yep.
Exactly. Like, you have to be the guy that can play off the star, and it has to be Darius Garland because he's the other guard.
Mhm.
And he just didn't do that today. That's where they got to look, I think, to improve, honestly.
Mhm.
Like, it just has to happen.
And the thing again for Mobley, real quick, going back to him, it's just, and I agree with you on Garland. When you have those secondary guard matchups and you have guys like Emmanuel quickly on you, who's not an incredible
Not a great
defensive,
defender.
he's not an incredible defender by any means, and maybe he's getting some of those RJ Barrett matchups just because Cleveland does not have a dominant 3-man. It's Isaac Okoro and it's Shetty Osman.
That doesn't scare you.
You're not going to throw RJ Barrett on those guys. You want him to be used more versatile. You want him to be more versatile in that in those defensive packages. So maybe Barrett was getting some of the Garland looks. I didn't specifically pay attention to that in today's game. I actually had to listen to it on the radio. But
Old school.
yeah, I know. That's what happens when you don't have your TV provider log in. But but when we talk about the physicality of New York and Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein had a clutch rebound that will go overlooked when we talk about the outcome of this game with 40 seconds left. Just a tip out to give Brunson the ball again and make it a 4-point game, which iced it.
Yeah.
Because they get to reset the shot clock and everything. It's just Allen and Mobley, for being such lengthy, just space absorbing bigs.
Taking up space.
Yeah.
Spacey.
You gotta out rebound these guys. And Mitchell Robinson's kind of the same way, and he definitely outweighs Mobley, and he definitely outweighs Jared Allen. Jared Allen actually looks like he's lost some weight recently, but at least when I saw him today. But you just have to be able to match the physicality on the boards especially if you're gonna play two big guys. Modern NBA is a small, fast-paced game, and Cleveland runs two really small guards and two freaking awesome defensive players at big. And if you can't run both those guys in that offense,
it's gonna be
if you can't match that physicality with two bigs, you're almost better off going small ball. So, which they don't have a small ball lineup because they don't really have another guard that they can just plug and play and say, let's go.
Yeah, they traded him for Donovan Mitchell.
Exactly. And Colin Sexton. So, I think Evan Mobley just has to, and Jared Allen, it's not just all on Mobley. They really got to step up on the glass next time. I mean, Allen had 14 or 15 boards today. But Mitchell Robinson was there stride for stride with him. You don't really see that with other
He
teams.
was just so physical down low.
Yeah.
That's really where the Knicks shine today, I think, is the physicality. And I think Cleveland can match that. It's just, you got to get at it early.
Yep.
They weren't aggressive or physical early, and the Knicks took advantage of that. And, I mean, it was a close game back and forth. But at the end of the day, the physicality for the Knicks kind of just, I think, put them over the top.
Wore them down. And the Knicks got off to a great start in this game.
Mm-hmm.
They came out early, they attacked early, and got up early. And Donovan Mitchell sparked that entire fourth quarter run to, I think he scored like 12 in a row or something like that. And then the loose ball poke steal, which ended up leading to a layup for Osman. It's just got to be more than him on offense. And I know that's probably going to be the main takeaway from all the ESPN articles and stuff like that. I do think Cleveland's just going to shoot better. They're not going to shoot that bad at home. They're a frankly somewhat inexperienced team.
Yeah,
and Mobley's
young guys.
Allen wasn't getting a ton of playoff looks in Brooklyn before Durant and Kyrie were there.
The only guy really with experience is Mitchell and Ricky Rubio.
Ricky Rubio?
Ricky Rubio, shout out. Grissom, I know you're watching, so Ricky Rubio, shout out to you. Should we go west?
Yep, let's go west.
So I guess the big question out west.
Who's going to win it?
Who should actually win it? Because we sat here and it's like, okay, the Nuggets are the 1 seed, but I personally would not bet.
I'm not putting money on the
Nuggets. Not putting money on the Nuggets. Then you go Memphis. It's like, yeah, Memphis is good. And they look at their first round matchup and they got to play the Lakers, who are the hottest team out of the All-Star break in the NBA after they made a couple trades.
Yep.
And then you go Sacramento, Golden State. Great game tonight. Can Sacramento maintain that?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the experience of Golden State.
Yep. And the experience of LA.
Yeah.
Having won a title in the bubble.
So then it comes down to like Suns Clippers. Who knows if the Clippers are going to be healthy?
Yep.
I guess the same thing for the Suns.
And the Suns have only played 8 games together. It's kind of the same thing with those Nets teams with Durant. So it's like,
I think the only team we can say for sure is Minnesota.
Yeah.
We'll scrape Minnesota off.
Minnesota's not going anywhere, especially if Denver plays up to their potential. Maybe if Denver just goes ice cold, but they gotta go ice cold for 4 games in a 7-game series. It's just not gonna happen.
So looking at the scheme and the landscape, I think it's got to be the Suns, right? Like they are just such a good team.
Yeah.
Like on paper, that's what sucks is on paper they're so good, but then you look at the Lakers.
On paper they're unstoppable.
It's the same thing with those Brooklyn teams, unstoppable. And then Lakers are good; they could win it.
Going back to Phoenix really quick, one game because I don't watch a ton of NBA basketball,
but
I did. The first game that I tuned into really this year was towards the end when the Mavs just got Kyrie, and it was the Dallas Phoenix game. Great game, and Booker had like 36, and Durant had 29 or something like that. But Durant started the game 9 for 9. And then double teams just start coming to Durant off these top of the key pick and rolls that he runs. And then they start using him as the fader in the pick and fade. And it's just so much for them to handle, which lets Booker. Granted, Dallas was one of the worst defensive teams in the league
Yeah,
this year.
no
They were
defense.
atrocious defensively. But it's just like you start to think about it, it's like, okay, Durant's going to get the best matchup. If he starts getting hot, he's going to start getting double teams. That means Booker's getting the second best matchup. And on most teams, they don't have a guard,
That's
a second guy
Yeah.
that can go guard him. And now Chris Paul is giving all these just beautiful passes to them. Chris Paul's living the dream right now. He's
in the retirement home pretty much. He just has to pass.
He is feeding the most efficient scorers that this game has ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever, period. And Durant and Booker. They're two of the most efficient scorers the NBA has ever seen. Because they can score 35 on like 13 shot attempts.
Yeah. And they get to the line.
And
they're aggressive.
And none of them are ball dominant. None of them are ball dominant.
Because Chris Paul always brings up the ball.
Yep.
Because he's the facilitator.
Yep.
And then, okay, if you manage to stop all that,
Ayton.
You got DeAndre.
Still have Ayton.
And he might be the fourth best player on this team, but he is a 7-1 center that can shoot the ball.
Yeah. So the only thing I worry about is continuity with that team because that starting lineup has only played 8 games together. But it's like when you just look at it on paper, it's like how do they not win the whole thing? So I agree with you. If I were a betting man, which I kind of am, I'd throw money on the Suns.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go through West matchups. We'll make this first one quick.
Yeah.
Nuggets, Timberwolves.
You were saying this could kind of be interesting.
I think it could be interesting. It's going to come down to the double center play that the Timberwolves have. Because obviously we saw Gobert.
Got to get value out of that trade somehow.
Well, I mean, he's throwing punches left and right, so we'll see. But it's one of those things where we've seen the Gobert and Jokic matchups in past playoffs, the bubble. We see it in the regular season.
Jokic just kills them.
When it was Utah, Denver, and it's like, oh yeah, Gobert had a great game. Yeah, Jokic still had 40.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess how do you attack that? And it's gonna be a collapse on him in the post, and then the guy you were talking about, Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
This is such a hard matchup. I think the one matchup that they might be able to expose is Ant Edwards on one of the guards.
I think Cat could get some favorable matchups too.
That's fair.
Just with his sheer size, but it's not like they're giving the NBA doesn't run through post touches anymore. The only team that gives anyone there's 2 teams. It's Denver with Jokic, he gets post touches, and Philly with Embiid. Who else are you like, yeah, we're gonna ISO you in the post for 8 possessions a game or something like that, 10 possessions a game. LeBron gets his occasional look, Davis gets his occasional face up look, but it's like the modern NBA just doesn't play that way anymore.
Yeah, so I mean, again, I think maybe Minnesota could make it interesting, but at the end of the day, it's the Jokic show, and his supporting cast is just better than this Minnesota super team that was quoted to start the year. But
how about Danny Ainge, man?
We love
first the Celtics Nets trade, the Pierce Garnett trade, and now this abomination of a trade. 2 of which might be they might be the 2 most lopsided trades in the last 30 years.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he immediate impact in Utah. They trade Gobert and get all these picks. They get maybe the rookie of the year in Walker Kessler, who had a great year. And
Paolo, but yeah.
Walker Kessler.
We're not underrating Walker Kessler on this podcast.
And then they got who else did they get? They got
5 first.
Vanderbilt,
yep,
which then they flipped to the Lakers
for Russell for first.
For
then getting
Westbrook.
They got 7 firsts out of the trade.
A wizard, a true wizard. But
yeah.
we're gonna Denver's gonna win the series. Let's move on.
Yeah, I agree.
Memphis and LA, the Lakers. What a matchup! This is the one matchup Memphis did not want to see, and we're not gonna give away who we're picking, but it's such an intriguing matchup. These teams match up so well together, and it starts with the Anthony Davis and Triple J matchup down in the
Yep.
post.
Yeah.
It's
I couldn't agree more because when you look at this matchup, I mean, Triple J only played like 44, 46 games this year. He's a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. He averaged like
which is
3
insane.
His block rate is just through the roof. You could definitely make the argument he's the best interior defender this year. And he's not like a giant dude. He's not like he's 7'1". He's 6'10".
Yeah, 6'10", big
Um,
body.
And when we look at this matchup with Anthony Davis, I think I think Anthony Davis, as great as LeBron has been this year, and it's really an underrated LeBron season. I'm not a LeBron fan, but he's almost averaging 30 a game. Of course, everyone talks about him breaking Kareem's record, but I think Anthony Davis has been the most important player on the Lakers this year. When LeBron was out, Davis was putting up massive numbers and had a really hot
Because he had
streak.
to.
Yeah, because he had to, and Darvin Ham was giving him looks.
Because that was before they made all these trades.
Yep, yep.
And
And granted, you may like, he's playing Detroit, and he's playing Orlando,
they're NBA teams.
he's playing Minnesota without Gobert and Towns. But even if they were playing with Towns, Towns is a great defender. But when you look at those matchups, he's just going to town on these teams. And when you look at the games, it's when he plays bad, the Lakers lose. When he plays great, the Lakers are a championship contender. And it's as simple as that. When you look at the bubble run, I think Anthony Davis was the best player on that bubble run. And I think that's a very controversial topic. Then all the LeBron fans might get mad at that. But Anthony Davis hit some massive shots in that stretch that people forget about. The one against Denver in the Western Conference Finals, I think it was game 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It was game 2 or 3, and that put him in the finals. And his performance against Miami when he has to face up against Bam, who's another great defender, one of the 5 best interior defenders in the league. So when I look at this matchup against Triple J, I think it's the giant X factor to this entire series.
Yeah.
Can Davis be efficient on his touches? And if he can average 28 and 13 in this series,
they're going to win.
I think the Lakers move on. As great as Ja is, as great as Bane is, as annoying as Dylan Brooks is, and you have the backbone of this team and Steven Adams, who might be out for the rest of the year,
and Brandon Clark.
So
they're going to be
they're down big man,
stressed in the big man department.
Which
it's Triple J.
Once Triple J's out, maybe you're like 80. You're back in the game.
Go to work, get 12 while he's out.
Get us on a quick run. Maybe find some momentum there. And then it's just like Dylan Brooks is going to be on LeBron. Not a great matchup for whoever's guarding LeBron.
It's LeBron.
And granted, you can look at the Lakers, and be like, who's going to guard Ja? With how explosive Ja is, but
D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo Russell's not going to guard Ja.
Exactly.
And Austin Reeves can't guard Ja. And I think Austin Reeves has been a huge benefactor to these trades that they made. And Linka really saw the vision. I think he did a great job this trade deadline.
It was White Mamba 2.0.
Worked a masterclass getting Beasley, Russell, and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's been huge on the defensive end for them in some really tight, close-knit games. You just look at Memphis, you look at the win total, you look at the inconsistency of the Lakers all year, and the big question for me that we didn't talk about earlier is, can they win 4 in a 7-game series?
Because you make the argument that, okay, yeah, we said earlier, the Lakers have been the hottest team since the All-Star break. You could argue Memphis has been one of the colder ones, just because of Ja missing time for his personal stuff and all that. They've been one of those streakier, colder teams. And I've always been in the belief that whoever's going into the playoffs hot in a close matchup is usually going to win it.
Yep.
So maybe that gives away where I'm picking, but it's so tough. And then you got to look at, okay, outside of that matchup, let's say it's a wash.
Mm-hmm.
Are you taking LeBron or are you taking Ja Morant?
That's fair.
And I look at playoff experience. I've seen Ja in the playoffs. I was at the Utah series 2 years ago. I just think outside of Triple J and AD, LeBron is the best player on the court.
Yep.
Matchup wise.
And you could definitely argue LeBron's just the best player on the court, period.
So I guess that gives the nod to the Lakers. Ja's good, but I don't think Ja can really match up and cancel out LeBron.
I think we're underrating one thing here, though, when we talk about Memphis, and that's Desmond Bane.
Yep.
Desmond Bane has sneakily become one of the best shooters in the NBA at 6'8", and he plays the two guard. Austin Reeves, he's not going to handle the size, speed, shooting combo that Bane has. And I think that's a matchup that Taylor Jenkins and the Grizzlies are going to look to exploit early. Their guard matchups are so much better. When we get to the front court,
That's when you
the
got
Lakers dominate in the size, right?
Especially if both their centers are out.
And it's gonna be really tough. I still really haven't made up my mind yet, so I guess I'll have to in 30 minutes when we come back to this matchup again.
Exactly.
But yeah, but it's just I think Bane is gonna be the most important player in this series. If he's hot, I can see the Grizzlies winning a couple of these games by 20. If he's not, I could see the Grizzlies losing a couple of these games by 20. And that's just kind of the nature of who's going to shoot the ball better. And I think that answer for me might be Memphis, but we'll see when the time comes. Because when you look at on a matchup basis, I kind of prefer the Lakers.
That is what it is. And who would have thought we were clowning the Lakers? Clowning
Yeah,
the
we
Lakers.
were.
And I mean, they almost
Like
lost
they're like a 6 seed. It's like, whoa.
They almost lost to Minnesota in the play-in
Yeah.
because they fouled Mike Conley.
Yeah.
It was a dog. Anyway, next matchup. Sacramento Golden State. We got to see one of the best games
Ever.
I think we've ever watched.
Yeah.
Because I came over, watched the second half. That first half was also very entertaining.
Oh.
Sacramento gets to light the beam. First time in 17 years, which was insane.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, in the playoffs. So, granted, okay, Sacramento won the first game, but can Sacramento truly overcome the experience that Golden State has? Because, I mean, that Golden State team, many a championships, many a playoff runs, many.
Dominant playoff runs.
73-9.
Decade-defining playoff runs.
They were at one point, and still could be. They won the championship last year.
Mhm.
The Patriot era of the NBA, just win.
Yeah. And speaking of Tom Brady, though, like when you think of this Golden State team and kind of they've been like a 6 seed all year, does it kind of feel like when Tom was first there in Tampa?
Little
And we're like,
underdog-ish.
little underdogish, yeah. Maybe Tampa won't make it. Granted, they dominated that division, but they looked at the struggle games against the Saints. With Golden State, you can look at all the struggle games on the road.
Yeah, which we'll dive into.
And I think that's going to be a huge factor, especially with Sacramento's home court advantage that they have.
We weren't there, but that was
The crowd is ridiculous.
loud.
It felt like a March Madness game.
Truly, like a Final Four game.
It felt like an awesome March Madness game. And that's what I love so much about but it's just two teams going back and forth and back and forth.
There was a point they made 8 threes in a row combined.
Yeah, and that with like 4 minutes left in the fourth.
Back and forth,
Steph
back
hit
and
that
forth.
super tough one in the corner, which is a remarkable shot. And then Monk and Fox were just trading baskets with each other. And Trey Lyles had some great threes today. And I just
It's
at
an
the end of the
experience
day,
thing.
you think about it, it's just like it's Golden State. It's Golden State, and it's like, how do I not pick Golden State? And you have to lay out some benefactors. I mean, I think when Sacramento, it's like watching Gonzaga play. They're so fast up and down the
and
court,
so efficient.
and with Fox being that leader, that dude is just. I would have loved to see Prime Westbrook in this offense, just with how quick he plays. He would have gotten downhill just so fast as offense. They would have scored 140 points a game. Westbrook doesn't shoot the ball as well as De'Aaron Fox.
And I mean, tonight Fox second most points in a playoff debut
ever, 38.
Behind
Luka.
Luka Doncic.
Luka
So
with
that's
42.
pretty good company to be in.
Yeah.
I would say so.
And so I have to look at the factors, right, of why I wouldn't pick Golden State. It's kind of how I look at this series.
I think that's how we both have to look at it. Why would you not pick Golden State?
And for me, it's the pace and the scoring ability. I never realized how well-rounded this Kings team was. It's like, okay, they won 50-some games, whatever.
Cool, they made the playoffs.
They made the playoffs. Great for the Kings. First time in 17 years, as you said. And so I have to look at some of those factors. And granted, it's like, and with these teams, it's like, okay, they won 50 games, but are they a regular season team?
We see that all the time.
Yeah, we see that in the NFL a ton, and even in the NBA a ton. And it's like, so are they a regular season team? Can they be a postseason team? Can
just
they
haven't
win
seen it.
4 against Golden State? It's not proven. I really liked what I saw tonight,
I
and
think
it really clouded my judgment of what's going to happen in
like
this series.
exactly. I think we came in before that game and we're like, all right, we'll give them a run. Like they might win one. It'll probably be Warriors in 5. And then watching that game, it's like this one could go 7.
Yeah.
And then it's back
And
in
if it goes 7,
Sacramento.
I don't like the Warriors on the road. They're 11-30 on the road this year.
And it kind of showed tonight. Like that is an atmosphere they won't see again on a road game. I don't think.
If they make it past this
yeah,
round.
if they make it
Yeah.
past this round. I don't think you're going to get as passionate of a
fan
home
base.
crowd
Yep.
like there was in Sacramento tonight. So I think Sacramento's home crowd is going to be huge.
Well, Golden State also has great home court fans too.
But they've been there.
So with that lack of but I'm saying with
Yeah.
that lack of experience on Sacramento's side, Curry and Clay, when they hit 2 or 3 threes in a row, they know how to get that crowd rolling. And when Curry or Clay hit 1 or 2 of those threes, I think this is one of the better games the Warriors have played all year, and they lost. That's how well the Kings shot the ball and just played as a whole. Sabonis was dominant on the glass when the Warriors started Gary Payton, Steph Curry, Clay, Poole, Draymond Green. None of those dudes are taller than like 6'7".
And then the Kings go, I raised the Alex Len.
And Domantas Sabonis. And Sabonis killed them on the glass tonight.
They out-rebounded so much better.
Forced Steve Kerr to go to guys like Kevon Looney that he most likely doesn't want on the floor in crunch time because he can't space the floor at all.
Yeah, and then it felt like they had Kuminga playing the 4 at points.
Yeah, they did.
And he was on Sabonis. It's like, they don't have big man depth. They don't.
Which Kuminga had a couple tough turnovers where it's like, it's him on De'Aaron, and he gets stripped on that fast break. It's like, when you're 6'8", you have to have that bucket in those road games. The fast break points are so essential to shut down that crowd. And with the crowd that I was getting to, with like when Curry and Clay made those 2 tough threes, that just sucks the energy out of the other team. And Sacramento, Mike Brown did an amazing job coaching tonight.
Coach of the year?
Yeah. Oh, easily, not even close. And he knows the Warriors system. He's won 3 rings with those guys.
Yeah, it is the same system.
And they push the ball so hard. It's so much fun to watch. And I worry about, with the Warriors' age a little bit, can they hang with the Sacramento pace for 7 games? Yeah, the Sacramento pace for 7 games. And I think this series is by far the most interesting, maybe right there with Memphis, LA. I am much rather, if there are games on at the same time, which they are never going to be, I would just watch Sacramento Golden State 10 times out of 10, especially if we get games like we saw tonight.
Yeah. It was a classic. There's
just way more factors.
So much back.
There's just way more factors, in my opinion, with the pace of play, the veteran leadership against the youth, and who's gonna pull it out at the end.
I don't know.
I think all these games are gonna be really close.
I think the West is definitely a lot harder to pick than the East,
especially if Malik Monk played as well as he played tonight. 14 of 14 from the line, shot the ball.
Tied for most in an NBA playoff game.
Yeah.
Consecutive makes.
Yep. And shot the ball just so efficiently and took advantage of all the matchups in the fast break that Golden State couldn't do when you had guys like Kuminga on Fox. Monk attacked the hole, got to the line, and converted. It's going to be a wonderful series to watch, and I'm going to tune into every game.
Absolutely.
Game.
They out-rebounded. They felt like they were outpacing them at times. Really, the only thing they didn't do was I didn't sit there and go,
shut the door.
They couldn't close it out.
Yep.
And they were making their shots, but
which on the road, you gotta shut the door. So if the Warriors just managed to get one, you could see the series going 7 and the home team winning all 7 games.
I think it's gonna be like that.
Oh, do you?
We'll see. We still have another game, and then we'll pull up a bracket and we'll go from there.
Also, one more thing. Sabonis only scored 2 points in the second half, and they still won. So just another little wrinkle in the series.
Sabonis just has to be consistent, sounds like. All right, this is the one where there's mystery to it, and we'll get to that in a second. Suns Clippers, the 4-5. When's Paul George gonna be back? He's the key to all this, right? I feel
You would
like
kind of think so. I mean, when you think of Paul George, you
matchup
don't
wise,
really think, yeah, when you on paper, I mean, you think of Paul George as a great two-way player. Same thing with Kawhi. And it's like when you have those two guys, you can rotate them on guys like Durant and Booker all game. But then outside of that, it's like, damn.
you got Russell Westbrook.
Oh, and Westbrook. And maybe Westbrook can push Paul past the limit. I think the Clippers, they're gonna have to do something that Sacramento does. They're gonna have to play really quick, in my opinion.
They're gonna have to, just because
Gotta get Chris Paul on his heels.
Phoenix is gonna get the ball. They're gonna get their shots. They're gonna pace
They're
it how
gonna
they
get good
want.
shots.
Exactly. So then you either have to slow it down or
Mhm.
you have to ramp it up. And just no shot at the age of the Suns. They're older players.
Mhm.
You got to attack them quick. Kawhi's one of the best at attacking the rim.
Yep.
Same with Paul George.
Get him in foul trouble.
Same with Russell Westbrook. They can run the floor very efficiently and outpace them. It's a matter of either making their shots or making their free throws.
And if and then that comes into a question of can you outscore Phoenix, which most likely not. Which most likely not. So it's kind of it's kind of a conundrum because
Yeah,
then they're gonna slow it. Then you almost like, okay, can you slow it all down? And it's just like Phoenix is just gonna get better shots than you. So I just even and we were talking about like how do you guard the Suns? You just don't.
you kind of just have to hope
You
they
just
miss and have an
can't.
off night.
Yeah, they just have to have bad shooting nights. On paper, I think the Suns could cruise to a finals appearance this year.
They could. And I'm gonna drop my little tidbit on this game. It's Russ and KD again. Look, they may not quote unquote hate each other as much as they used to, like those great Warriors Thunders games. But there's still, I don't want to say animosity, but like there's still that mentality of they're
They
both
go at each
alphas.
other.
They are alphas on the
Yeah.
court. Westbrook, I don't care if he's the starter or not. He's gonna get at you. He's gonna make your life a living hell. And it's the same with Kevin Durant because he just makes these shots that no one else in the planet in a game of basketball can.
Has almost ever done.
It's such a fun back and forth every time they play. I don't know how aggressive it's going to be this year, but the fact that we get Russ KD first round and could end with hypothetically LeBron KD, like having KD back out in the West just makes everything so much more interesting.
I agree.
I think.
I
And
agree.
but this matchup, Kawhi and KD,
Yeah, I feel like no one's talking about it too. Don't you kind of feel that way? It's like
I think people are just so impressed with the
Kawhi,
Suns.
like
Like
I agree on paper especially, and when you watch them play, they're dominant. But when we talk about like Kawhi just has just flown under the radar for so long now since Toronto because all the
Because
load
both been-
managing
yeah.
and he's always hurt. And I feel like Kawhi has one or two more playoff runs where he can just really stick it to some guys
That could be
and show why he's the best two-way player in the league again.
and that could be this one. That could be a dominant. Even if the Suns win, if you wear them out and they go tired into a game with, let's say, Denver,
Yeah,
that could spell trouble for the Suns.
yes, it could.
All right, you want to pull up a bracket? Should we make a
Yeah.
podcast bracket? I'm figuring it all out. I think isn't it share?
Yes, it is. Share.
Oh, Adrian Peterson making an
Yeah.
appearance.
Who's this guy? Why can't I see the tab? I hate that.
Yeah.
There we are.
Accept those cookies.
Yep. Okay. Here we are. Well, we are
Put one in.
reset.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
There we are. Okay. Here we go. So
Let's
now
go
we're
west.
probably in the top middle of your screen. We're starting the west. You want to do your bracket first?
I mean, I think it's simple. I think it's Denver in 5.
Yep.
I think it's Phoenix in 6.
Do you think PG comes back at some point?
I think this is wearing on the fact if PG does come back.
Okay.
If not, I would say Suns in 5.
Okay.
Let's say 6. Give me Sacramento in 7.
That's
After
awesome.
tonight, that was just one of those great games.
Yep.
And
Definitely a statement win in game 1 from a youth team against an experienced
I think
team.
that gets momentum rolling.
Yep.
It has to. Which leads me to the next one. Give me the Lakers in 7.
Lakers at 7.
Oh, that's going to be another 7. It's going to be great. It's going to be insane.
Okay.
Give me Milwaukee in 5.
Yep.
Give me Cleveland in 6.
Not the Knicks.
I think
not the
Cleveland
Knicks?
figures. Cleveland has the best player in the series.
Donovan.
Yeah,
I
they
agree.
just do. Give me Philly in 4.
Yep.
Give me Boston in 4.
Okay, back to the top.
Yeah. Give me Phoenix in 6.
Phoenix in 6.
It's too much star power against one man.
Yep.
And Ayton has the length to match up with Jokic.
That's fair. That's fair.
Um, Give me the Lakers in.
You got to think the crowd would almost be even more insane in these Lakers series.
Give me the Lakers in 6.
Okay, so you're thinking just like leadership there.
I
You have
think
LeBron
it's just
AD.
it's LeBron AD. Like I don't think Sabonis matches up as well
Yep.
with AD. Who is going to guard LeBron James in that matchup? Yeah, I just don't see it.
Yep.
Give me Milwaukee in 5.
Who's guarding Giannis?
Yep, that's as simple as
As
that.
great as Mobley is. And then, yeah.
Give me Boston in 7.
And 7? You think that series goes 7?
I think Embiid and Harden can drag it out.
Interesting.
So let's just stay down here.
Okay.
Give me Milwaukee
In
6.
6. Phoenix, LA, WCF.
Give me Phoenix in 6.
6. Phoenix, Milwaukee, rematch of 2021 when Milwaukee won in 6.
Give me
Slightly different team in Phoenix now with Durant.
Give me Phoenix in 7.
In 7, you think that
I
series
think
goes
the finals
7?
goes 7.
That's awesome.
Point
And
margin,
that doesn't
whatever.
matter.
So yeah, I guess mine would have Phoenix in 7.
It's Phoenix in 7 against Milwaukee.
All right, Bailey. Restart.
I'll comment on that in a second. Denver's winning in 4.
Fair.
They're just way too loaded. No one's gonna, even if Cat's on Jokic, Gobert's on Jokic, doesn't matter. Jokic might average 35 and 15 in that series. Phoenix in 5. I think Paul George's timeline is just too iffy for me.
That's
Do not
really
pick
fair.
Phoenix in this, and Kawhi can easily get 1. But then I look at the supporting cast, and it's like, where's the defense coming from? They have the offensive firepower with guys like Zubac and Gordon and Terrence Mann, and Bones Highland, but like none of those dudes can stick anyone on defense. And Phoenix
Especially that Phoenix team.
is gonna eat them alive.
Monty Williams is going to have a great game time.
Sacramento, Golden State.
I took the olive branch. That game convinced me.
I'm cool with that. I completely understand. I just don't know if Sacramento shoots that well every game.
That's completely fair.
And when I look at Sacramento going to Golden State, we know Golden State can get 1 road game. As bad as they were on the road this year,
They
it's
can
the
get 1.
playoffs. They can get 1.
All you need is 1.
I can trust that they win all 3 at home, Golden State in 6.
Ooh, okay.
Because if this does go 7, I do think Sacramento wins. But I think they win
They have
all.
to close out
They're
at
going
home.
to close out in 6 at home. Memphis, LA. I just think, man, I don't know here. I love Anthony Davis. LeBron is the 2nd greatest player of all time. Easily. I think if he's not in your top 3, your top 3 is wrong. But I look at the matchups, and I said I like LA. God. But something's just telling me Memphis, man. Like I like that they have home court.
That Memphis
I
crowd is
just
rocking.
I love Jaw's explosiveness. He can do what no other guard in the league can do since Prime Westbrook or Prime Rose. And I think the all-around shooting of Memphis is just overall way more consistent. And LA just can't really shoot the ball like that, even since those trades. It's not like Hachimura can really stretch the floor. Russell's a great shooter, and Reeves has really come on as of late. But I look at guys like Bane, I look at guys like Dylan Brooks can even shoot the ball a little bit. I look at guys like Luke Kennard that can almost
He's
win
been
you
a
a
great asset.
that can almost win you a single game based off his 3-point shooting. And as bad as he is on defense, but I like those. I'm just gonna take the better shooters in the more all-around team. And like you said, with Triple J against AD, I think AD is definitely better in that matchup. But I just like how Triple J can maybe impose his defensive will on 2 games in this series that really shut AD down.
No, 7?
6. I think Memphis takes it on the road in 6.
Okay.
Milwaukee is sweeping Miami. Miami is just way too inconsistent. Giannis is going to dominate every game in the series. Now, if they let Miami get some momentum, I could see it going 6. I just see Milwaukee handling business early because they got to take care of 2 really important series later down the road. I think they have that foresight. I'm also with you here in Cleveland. I'm really torn here though because the Knicks have 2 guys that can close out games for you in Brunson and Randall. So with Brunson and Randall, when you have those closers, those are just such beautiful advantages to
huge in the
have. They have
playoffs.
2 options that they can go to when the game slows all the way down and you got to get clutch, tough buckets. But Cleveland also has Donovan Mitchell. They have, I think Darius Garland's going to find his flow with his ability to play make and get some assists. And I think Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, they got their wake up call. They're going to answer the bell. I think they win in 6. And when I mean answer the bell, I mean physically on the glass. I think Mobley is just going to shoot the ball better, period. There's no way Cleveland shoots that bad again.
Speedrun.
4. Philly wins in 4. Brooklyn's under 500 after. If I feel like Brooklyn's gotten some really weird love because Bridges has been just awesome.
He's a dog.
And I'd love to say, hey, Bridges can go get them one, but I just don't think he's there yet in his career as awesome as he's been in the second half.
He never was that for Phoenix.
Exactly. So once I can see it, and I'll say it. Boston at 4. Simple. Back to the top. We already talked about Boston. No one's going to be able to guard Tatum and Brown. I think Brown should rest with that hand cut injury. I think if they're up 3-0, Brown should sit. So that thing doesn't regash itself and hurt some later series further down the road. More important series, exactly. Phoenix in 6.
Too much star power, man.
Just like Michael Porter Jr. is not going to be able to guard Kevin Durant.
Not many people
Easy
can.
as that. No one can. But it's like some people could slow him down.
That's fair.
To a small extent, to like 85% of what Durant normally is. And MPJ is not one of those players. And give me Devin Booker over Jamal Murray any day of the week.
Ooh.
Warriors, Memphis. I really want this series.
I know mine doesn't line up like that, but
it'd be awesome.
What a series this would be. The trash talk would be all time. It'd be all time. It'd be better than any Bulls.
Yeah.
Throwback games with Rodman on their runs. I just think Draymond and Dylan Brooks going at it.
Shannon Sharp being courtside at all the games.
Absolutely.
Haven't thought this far ahead in my bracket. We just decided to do this. Man.
I mean, you took experience.
Ja versus Curry. I like the experience in Golden State. I guess I got to continue to ride with that. I like Golden State in 6.
Very nice.
I just don't see anyone. I think just the offense that Kerr runs, Golden State just can't, or Memphis, they don't have the ability to switch everything.
This will be a big series for Jaren Jackson because Golden State does not have a lot of big man depth.
Yep.
Just like
Jaren Jackson has to dominate that series. And they're going to have to be more than 50% from 2 because Golden State's going to be at least 33.3% from 3.
Exactly.
Milwaukee, Cleveland, who's guarding Giannis? 6. And actually
go 5.
5.
Mitchell will get him 1.
Mitchell will get him 1. I just don't see it. It's as simple as that. And you had this going 7.
I did have it going 7.
I have Boston at 5. I think Boston dominates this series.
That's fair.
When we look at some of the regular season matchups between Philly and Boston, Tatum has played awful games and they still win. So I just can't imagine if 1 or 2 games in that series, Tatum has 35-40. I think Boston wins those games by 20. And Boston loves going to Philly, especially when you have guys like Al Horford who have been on those teams in Philly and come back and be like, yeah, Boston's just way better, and now I know how to game plan for Philly and Doc Rivers. And I just don't trust the coaching of Doc Rivers in playoff series. He can make bad teams good, but I don't know if he can make good teams great. So I'm gonna ride with Boston there.
Ooh.
Phoenix, Golden State. I'm going with Durant in the rematch in 6. Golden State can get 2. It's offensive firepower on offensive firepower. Every game is gonna be
No
like
defense.
140 to 129. I just like Phoenix's offensive power more. This one's going 7. I just don't know which side of 7 it's going to. Um, Boston seemed like they just played Milwaukee. They won by 41 points. And Giannis played. And Drew played. Chris didn't play. Middleton didn't play. But
But Chris Middleton doesn't make 41-point differences.
no, he doesn't. And but then I look at Boston, it's like, is Rob Williams going to be healthy? Giannis wants revenge after game 7 last year in the semifinals. Giannis with a chip on his shoulder is just Giannis normally is impossible to stop, much less
That
Giannis with a
chip
chip
on the
his shoulder.
shoulder. Oof. A man that wants another title.
Boston at 7.
Whoa. Okay.
I just like the wing flexibility. Boston can just dominate the wings, because I just feel like they have better all around players and guys like Tatum and Brown that actually can stick some defense. And I feel like Milwaukee lacks a little bit of depth, and that's part of Boston's strength. And I think the addition of Brogdon is going to be big time in that series.
Okay.
Phoenix, Boston.
Doesn't run in.
I just with a rookie head coach, I just don't see it. And I see Phoenix in 6.
Oh, we both got Phoenix.
Yes, we do. They're on paper, they're just so dominant, and until I see them lose, because Phoenix hasn't lost a game with Durant. Period. They're 8-0 with Durant in the lineup. So if once I see Phoenix lose a game, maybe with Durant, I won't pick Phoenix. But for now, Phoenix beats Boston in 6.
Dang. Okay. So very similar. A few things a little different. Obviously, the West is so
Wide open.
it's wide open. It could be anyone's
I
game.
could see the Lakers coming out, even though I have Memphis winning. I could see Golden State coming out. Those are the only other 2 teams I think I could really see coming out.
I don't see Denver at all.
I don't see
That's
Denver
fair.
at all.
I mean, it's been a matchup with the Suns, so it's like
They just haven't proven it. They haven't proven it.
they haven't proven it outside of Jokic.
Nope.
Well, alrighty. The first big official episode.
Yeah. No kidding.
No kidding. And we kept it in the time.
Yeah. Just over an hour, baby.
Let's go. But yeah, so this is kind of what you're going to expect. A little more fast paced, a little more going over a few things, and then our predictions.
Yep.
It's what it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope you guys like the new format. Just doing that. That was the first take of that. I really enjoyed it.
Great success.
Let us know down in the comments whether you guys like it or not. Just as far as Hurdle Podcast stuff coming up, mock draft will be coming up, and an MLB episode will be coming up. And then the next NBA one, we might have a guest, and we'll bring in him, and we'll do the recap of the first round of all the matchups we just talked about, and then we're going to preview the second round of all the matchups that will be going on. As far as Hurdle Podcast stuff goes, no Spotify now. So no audio. I'm sorry
just have to look
for
at our
those
faces.
audio losers. Audio users, you gotta just look at us now. That sucks.
It's
But
a tough time.
yeah.
Tough time to be
tough break. Maybe we'll figure it out, and I'll try and run some technical stuff
the
on the
tech
back
guy.
end. On the back end to see if we can get some audio to work. But if not, we're just rocking with the YouTube right now. So like, comment, subscribe, give us your final predictions, and specifically what you think of the new format. And go follow us on Instagram at Hurdle Podcast, HRL Podcast. We post every time we drop. So check us out there. Anything else?
I think we are.
All right. Bailey, Logan, we're out, guys. Peace.